Hey everyone! Welcome to the Bold and Beautiful 24. I'm Alessio, and I'm so excited to have you here. If you love Bold and Beautiful, then you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Alright, let's dive right in. Blood everywhere. Screams echoing through the beach house. Liam's barely breathing. Luna's on the floor, motionless. And the woman responsible? She's Sheila Carter's granddaughter. Steffi's life was almost taken, and the man who saved her may not survive the night. Hope gets the call no mother ever wants to hear. Liam's been shot. And the girl who pulled the trigger? Someone they all trusted. Inside the hospital, surgeons race against the clock, while outside, secrets unravel and guilt threatens to tear families apart. 2 lives hang in the balance. One truth could destroy them all. Stay with us. This is the story of how everything changed, in a single, terrifying moment. Hope rushes to the hospital as both Liam and Luna fight for their lives in surgery. It was supposed to be a quiet evening. Just a calm breeze rolling in from the ocean, waves crashing softly against the shore. But the beach house was anything but peaceful. I stood frozen for a moment, heart pounding in my chest as the chaos unfolded before my eyes. Blood. There was so much of it. Luna was lying there, limp, her body half slumped on the floor. And Liam, Liam, he was barely conscious, his breathing shallow, his skin pale. Finn knelt beside him, his hands already stained red as he tried to slow the bleeding. "He has a pulse," Finn murmured, glancing at me with urgency and something I hadn't seen in a long time, fear. "It's faint, but it's there." My eyes darted to Luna. She wasn't moving. She looked gone. Sheila, of all people, had been the one to finally drop to her knees beside her granddaughter. Her voice broke as she whispered, "What have you done?" She barely looked like the monster I'd always seen her as. Her face was pale and slack, not just from her own wounds, but from watching her granddaughter, the young woman who had just tried to kill me, slowly fade before our eyes. The shrill sound of sirens in the distance signaled the arrival of paramedics. I didn't know whether to feel relief or terror. Help was on the way, but was it already too late? As the EMTs burst in, the front door swinging open with force, they moved fast. One team worked on Liam, while another turned their focus to Luna. There was barely a moment to breathe. Miss Dillon, who had been freed just moments earlier, was crying uncontrollably. "I'm sorry," she sobbed. "I didn't know what she was planning. I didn't know it would go this far." I wanted to believe her. But I couldn't focus on any of that. Not now. Not with Liam fighting for his life. "I need you to stay with me, Liam," I whispered, hovering over him as Finn continued to apply pressure to his wound. "You saved me. Please, don't leave me now." A uniformed officer approached, trying to piece together what had happened. "Can you explain how this started?" he asked me, but I couldn't think clearly. The words came out shaky and disconnected. "Luna, she lured me here. It was a trap. But I can't think about that right now." He nodded and turned his attention to Finn. "What's her condition?" he asked, gesturing to Luna. Finn didn't even look up. "Gunshot wound to the chest. It's bad. We're doing what we can." It all moved so fast after that. They lifted Liam onto the stretcher. His head lolled to the side, his eyelids fluttering. I wanted to scream. I wanted to grab him and never let go. The officer tried again, this time pointing toward the gun that had been used. "Is this the weapon?" "Yes," I managed to say. "It's hers. Liam, he saved my life. He didn't even hesitate." Finn looked up at me, his voice steady. "I'm riding with him. I need to keep working on him." "I'm coming too," I said without thinking. There was no way I was letting Liam out of my sight. As the paramedics wheeled Liam out, Finn climbed into the ambulance beside him. I followed, feeling like my legs were barely able to carry me. The doors shut behind us, and the sound echoed like a gavel falling. At Forrester Creations. Meanwhile, Hope was still at Forrester, completely unaware of the nightmare that had just unfolded. She sat across from Carter in the design office, her fingers absent-mindedly tracing the rim of her coffee mug. "I think Liam's finally ready," she said softly, a hint of hope in her voice. He might be willing to tell his dad and his brothers about the diagnosis. Carter gave her a look full of sympathy. I can't even begin to imagine what it must feel like for a parent to lose a child. Hope's voice broke as she replied, "It's the most devastating pain imaginable." Her eyes welled with tears. "I've felt that before, when I thought Beth had died. That grief never really leaves you. It just buries itself deeper." Carter nodded slowly. "Steffi did the right thing, telling you. You deserve to be there for him. I just want him to have as much time as possible," she said. "Time with me, with Beth, with the people who love him. Time to make memories, while he still can." "He's trying to live, Hope," Carter said quietly. "He wants quality of life, not just time." "I know," she nodded. "And I'm glad we're all getting to be part of that. I just hope Bill and Wyatt and we'll get that chance too. But it has to be Liam's decision. It's his story to tell. And the clock is ticking." They sat in silence for a moment, both of them processing the weight of that truth. Carter's voice softened. "When the time comes, I'll do everything I can for Beth. As her stepfather, I know what that means. But I want her to have as much time with Liam as she can." Hope reached for his hand. "You've been incredible. I never imagined that this would be how we'd lose him." "He doesn't deserve this," Carter muttered. "He's one of the good ones. He's selfless." "He is," Hope agreed, a bittersweet smile tugging at her lips. "Maybe Bill didn't see it that way. Maybe they just had different views on what strength looks like." "He passed that strength on to Beth," Carter said gently. "She's lucky to have both of you." Hope's breath caught. "I want her to remember him. I want her to hold on to every moment, every word, every smile." "She will," Carter promised. "She'll always carry him with her." "I thought we had more time," Hope whispered. "But now, it feels like it's slipping away." The ambulance tore through the streets, sirens wailing, lights flashing in chaotic bursts across the darkened glass. I sat in the back, my eyes locked on Liam as Finn worked tirelessly to keep him stable. He was slipping. Finn kept repeating instructions to the EMT, adjusting monitors, checking vitals, barking short commands like, "Give me another bolus," and "Keep compressions ready if we lose his pressure again." But it was the look in his eyes that terrified me most. He was fighting not just as a doctor, but as someone who cared. "We're almost there," Finn said, glancing briefly toward me. "Just hold on, Liam. You've got a lot to live for." I didn't even realize I was crying until I felt the tears soaking into my shirt. My hands were clenched in my lap, trembling. I whispered, "Come on, Liam, stay with us. Stay with me." When we arrived at the hospital, it was a flurry of movement. Bright lights, stretchers rolling, nurses shouting out stats. Grace met us at the doors, her face tightening as she took in the sight of Liam, bloodied and barely responsive. "He's got multiple gunshot wounds," Finn explained urgently. "We need to get him into surgery now." I stepped aside as they rushed him away, and barely a few seconds later, another stretcher rolled in behind us, this one carrying Luna. My heart clenched. I didn't know how to feel. Rage, confusion, grief, and somewhere buried deep under it all, pity. She was just a girl, misguided and manipulated, but a bullet didn't care about that. She looked like a lifeless doll, her chest barely rising beneath the oxygen mask. Behind her, Sheila was wheeled in too, conscious, but clearly wounded. And yet, her eyes weren't on the doctors. They were on Luna. "She's stable for now," a nurse murmured, looking over Sheila's chart. "She doesn't care about herself," I muttered to no one in particular. "Just her." Steffi appeared beside me again, looking shaken. "Liam's going into surgery," she said, barely breathing the words. "Finn said he'll do everything he can." I nodded, numb. And then came the questions, again. The police officer, clipboard in hand, tried to make sense of the tangled story we were all a part of. He wanted to know about Luna, about the gun, about how Sheila was involved. I answered the best I could, recounting what I remembered, even though my mind kept drifting to that moment. The gunshot, the blood, Liam collapsing onto the floor. "Sheila's her grandmother," I told the officer. "Luna must have felt like she had to prove something." But in the end, she pulled that trigger, and it could cost Liam his life. Before I could say more, Lee appeared down the hall. "Lee!" Steffi called out. She rushed toward us, and Steffi's face crumpled. It was Luna. She shot Liam. There was so much blood. Lee looked stunned, then furious. "My niece did this." We didn't have time for any more shock. Just then, Finn reappeared in scrubs, his face intense. "Liam's in the oar. We're about to start." He turned to Grace. "I need you in there too. Sheila can wait." "Sheila?" Lee asked, confused. "She's stable," Grace replied, already pulling on gloves. "But Liam isn't." They moved quickly, disappearing down the corridor again. I stood frozen for a moment, watching them go. If Liam didn't make it, if we lost him tonight. Inside the oar, life on the line. The operating room was ice cold, but Liam's body was burning up. Finn worked with a focused intensity I'd never seen before, his eyes scanning the monitors, hands steady, voice sharp and direct. Nurses passed him clamps, suction, gauze. Every second mattered. "Where's the bleeder?" he muttered, digging deeper. "I need that artery clamped now." Steffi stood behind the observation glass. She looked pale, her hands pressed against the window as if her love alone could keep Liam tethered to this world. Finn could feel her watching, and for just a second, he looked up. She was dialing a number. Hope. Back at Forrester. Hope's phone rang just as she was about to say something else to Carter. She saw the caller ID and immediately answered. "Steffi." There was no preamble. "Liam's in the hospital. He's been shot. By Luna." Hope gasped, her world spinning out of focus. "What?" "You need to get here," Steffi said, her voice tight. "Now." Hope dropped the phone. "Hope?" Carter asked urgently. "What's going on?" She looked at him, pale as a ghost. "It's Liam. He's been shot. We have to go now." Grace operates on Sheila. Back in the second oar, Grace stitched up Sheila's wounds. Though she was physically stable, her mind was clearly somewhere else. "How's Luna?" she asked, over and over again. "Have you heard anything? She was just a child." Grace didn't have an answer for her. Her hands moved with precision, but her heart felt heavy. She knew family trauma, knew what it meant to lose someone too soon. "She's in surgery," Grace finally said. "That's all I know." They put Sheila under, and for the first time in hours, her body went still. Luna's surgery. In another part of the hospital, Lee and Bridget hovered over Luna. "She's still bleeding," Bridget said. "I see it," Lee snapped. "But if we remove the bullet, she could bleed out. If we leave it, it might cause long-term damage." "I won't let her die," Lee said fiercely. "Not like this." They worked in unison, hands moving with urgency, suction tubes whining, alarms blaring softly in the background. Suddenly, one of the nurses shouted, "We've got a drop in pressure." "She's crashing." Bridget's eyes widened. "We're losing her." Lee felt her heart stop. "Luna! Luna, stay with us." In the waiting room. Steffi sat alone now, just outside Liam's oar. A nurse walked by and she stood. "Can I see him?" she asked desperately. "You can't go in," the nurse said gently, "but you can watch from the observation window." She nodded and returned to the glass. Her eyes locked on Liam, on Finn, on the doctors fighting for his life. A police officer walked by, pausing beside her. "He's strong," he said. "It'll take more than a bullet to take that man away from his girls." Steffi turned to him, tears running freely down her face. "He saved my life. It should be me in there. I owe him everything." Inside the oar, Finn was doing everything he could. Outside the oar, Steffi whispered under her breath, "Liam, please don't give up. Please."